Just gone 8:28 a.m. Thanks again for tuning into Morning Live Sport. Now, Vincent Leygonie reclaimed his title in the pro men's category, while Jenna Byrnes defended her title in the pro women's category, and this was at the 2025 BMX Freestyle South African Championships. Now, the event was hosted at the newly built SkyLab Skatepark at the Joxi-X Adventure Park in Bryanston, Johannesburg. The park offers riders a variety of obstacles and line choices to showcase their skills, and this has happened at the championships in their bid to impress the judges through the qualifying rounds and the final. So to review the event, to talk about it, to give us some insight into the sport of BMX freestyle, we've invited Vincent Leygonie into studio, as well as Ryan van der Spey. Guys, thanks so much for joining us. Congratulations on reclaiming your title. I suppose let's start with you, and then we'll go into the history of the sport with Ryan. How does it feel?
It feels good. So last year was kind of like a bit of a disappointment for me because we had qualifying and I crashed in my qualifying run, and then it rained out into finals. So I didn't even have a shot at going for first. But that is the nature of our sport. It's quite like vicious in that sense. So it feels good. I rode really well. I got quite lucky. We had a lot of fun. So just happy with how it went.
Well, I mean, you're happy either way with the result. Ryan, just give us some context about the sport, how it's growing in South Africa. Many people may never have ever watched a BMX freestyle event, and yet it debuted at the Olympics. I think it was in Tokyo, and then again in Paris, where Vincent participated. What do you need as well to grow the sport and get people interested in it?
Yeah, I mean, so to give you an idea of what BMX freestyle is, the riders are competing on a BMX-specific skate park, where they have 1-minute runs to do as many tricks as possible, as clean as possible, with judges looking for difficulty of tricks, variety of tricks, execution, use of park, and so on. So obviously a very exciting sport to witness and watch. We started Parklines in 2021 as a fun event to put together for the riders. Since then, it's grown into the official South African Championships. We've crowned South African champions, we've produced the Olympian, and obviously this year we've just come off hosting the 2025 South African Championships, which Vincent won.
How many spectators come through? You know, what can the park accommodate? How do you allow spectators to enjoy the sport, especially if they have no background with it as well?
I mean, for us, it's important to get eyes on the sport. So for the weekend's events, it was free for all to come through and watch. So
nice. Okay.
I think through the day, we probably had between 500 and 1,000 people coming to watch the event. We had 50 riders competing through the amateur and pro categories. So for us, it's important just to, host these events and get the sport of BMX out there. With it being an Olympic sport now, it's important to create these events, to create these parks, to get more kids involved, and hopefully one day produce more South African champions and Olympians.
I mean, I can't imagine it being a cheap sport. Not that there is ever, when you're at the professional level, a cheap sport, but I'm sure in terms of your bike and making sure that you can, have all the other aspects, technical aspects of it covered, or is it an average price sport? Give us a sense of it.
So like getting into the sport can be relatively cheap. I mean, lots of guys have stopped riding over the years, so it kind of cycles through. You start seeing old bikes you recognize, you're like, oh, I remember who rode that bike. So to get in, it's it's expensive for most people, but it's for like 5,000 Rand you can get into the sport and ride bikes. Most of the skate parks are like 100 Rand to go ride at maximum. I mean, I think at SkyLab we're trying to bring it a bit down, but it's just one of those things. It's quite easy to get into, but obviously at my level now you start getting into like, oh, I need custom parts, and like I go through a frame set, forks and bars every 6 months, which is like a 15 to 20,000 Rand experience every single time. Usually we have sponsors for those kind of things. Unfortunately, with South Africa's importing costs, sponsors from international kind of look at us and go, it costs us about double to send us one set of things to you.
And how big is the sport locally for us to do that as well?
So when I'm overseas, it's super easy, but here locally, it's a bit tough to get stuff. But in terms of just riding and having fun with your friends, it's pretty inexpensive compared to a lot of other stuff.
You started, was it in you started at the age of 14 rather, and you first started with mountain bikes. What prompted you to make the change? And then also from your 2023 win to this year, what was different for you?
Yeah, so the change kind of came from, I was watching Trials bicycle stuff, which is like they jump over obstacles. It's not like this crazy like freestyle. And I was fascinated. I was like, that's amazing. And I couldn't get a bike, obviously South African importing, and it was just crazy. So ended up buying a BMX bike, going, okay, well, I can turn this into that. And my friends were all skateboarders at the time. They were like, dude, just come to the skate park with us, just kind of fun. And honestly, as soon as I started riding, I was like, oh,
this is for me.
This is what I want to do. And then 2023, I was the first SA champ, so it was quite like felt so much pressure. And then coming through to this time, I feel like a whole different human being, because I've had world champs experience now, Olympic qualifiers, Olympics, and all of those things kind of taught me a little bit lesson. Each event taught me something new about myself, where now I find myself being a lot better at being at the gym, a lot better with my diets, a lot better with training more consistently and training the right way. Because I used to just go ride for 6-7 hours and that wasn't really achieving anything, where now I'm 2 hours on the bike, but I'm achieving so much more. Even like this year, if you look at like the score comparison, I could take it relatively easy in finals, and I knew that I was going to go through and take the win.
Is that because you were just fitter mentally and obviously physically as well?
Yeah, so it's I can get through the minute run a lot easier than a lot of the guys.
Makes sense,
a minute is a long time. Imagine doing a full sprint for a minute.
We know in television, don't worry.
Yeah, you guys get it. So for us, I can get through the minute run really easy, and I was able to take it a lot easier than everyone else, because I know, okay, well, I don't have to give it 110% because I've got all this experience, and I've been competing at a level that, unfortunately, international is, like, I feel like an amateur at an international level, but here I'm like, I'm hit the ceiling.
Yeah.
So I've got that kind of advantage on everyone else, that I've trained for that kind of stuff.
It's like a big fish in a small pond mentality now. You've got to get out there, and we'll get to that now. But Ryan, in terms of growing the sport, what are you doing in terms of development? You mentioned that the prize purse was 36,500 Rand. I know you want to get that to a lot larger. It is a UCI sanctioned event, and so in order to attract international riders here, which can then grow the sport, I suppose that's depending on your sponsors and getting word out there as well.
Yeah, I think for us, I mean, being able to now build this park and have it as a permanent facility, you know, we've got plans within that to help develop and grow the sports. I mean, Vin's there to help coach kids. We want to get more kids involved. We've got a park to use now where we can do that and do development programs. At the same time, creating these events, getting more sponsors involved, enabling us to host more events, you know, will help with the growth of the sport. So it's just getting more eyes on the sport itself, getting more partners involved and supporting what we're doing, and that will help with the growth of the sport.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, Paris was, I'm sure, a huge learning curve for you, and then LA is coming up between the two. Are you going to be trying to be overseas more, still based here? What are the plans?
So definitely overseas more. So like this year I've taken to do a lot smaller events, because obviously all my experience is at the top level where you got the best of the best. And every rider I've spoken to, international riders, has been like, man, you've really gotten trial by fire by this. So like, for example, next month I head off to Brussels for a smaller C1 event, which is still an international recognized. We can get points, but it's not as hectic as a world championship kind of thing. So I'm at a lot of smaller events, and then from next year I'll start going into a little bit bigger events, start going into bigger World Cups. And hopefully by the time we hit LA, I'm no longer just trying to get into finals. It's a top 5 podium position kind of aim.
Well, it's all about that competition experience 100%. And international exposure as well. Guys, thanks so much for joining us. It was great chatting to you and finding out a little bit more about the sport. We've been chatting to Vincent Leygonie. He is the 2025 SA BMX Freestyle champion. It just happened not so long ago, actually, the 7th of June. And then we've also been chatting to Ryan van der Spuy, and he's the Freestyle Commissioner for Cycling South Africa, sharing their sport that they love so much. Try and get involved, and if you know someone that is a kid or a youngster that wants to get involved in BMX Freestyle, make contact with them. They have their new park out at the Joxi-X Adventure Park out in Bryanston.